welcome you to yet another edition of Let Children Be. And on this program, of course, we discuss issues of child sexual abuse and, of course, issues affecting young women and young adults in relation to sexual abuse. And, of course, we are trying to fight child sexual abuse as much as we can. This program is brought to you by the Zambian Society for Child Protection, of course, working with the Child's Rights Euro-Asia. Now, on today's program, we continue looking at the Anti-Gender-Based Violence Act. And, of course, today we are focusing on child's rights and, of course, young adults and their responsibility. We are looking at child's rights and young adults and their responsibilities. So today we'll be focusing on human rights, child's rights, and, of course, I do have my panel in the studios who will be helping me discuss the topic for today. Now, when we come to look at the issue of physical abuse and the effects that it has on the child, I would want you to share when it comes from the male's perspective now. Maybe you could share on the effects that it has on the male child.
Mostly, as male children, we are being abused, and when we report to our parents mostly or our guardians, we are just told, no, you are a man and you have to be strong, without knowing how it's really eating us inside, So the effect that's why we are seeing a lot of bullies, and we grow up to be bullies and violence. When those people grow up with that pain, they end up also start doing what? Like maybe abusing their children, because it's more like it's a chain. It's a chain. We don't see... it's hard to control it because a person has grown up with that, and he doesn't see the
effect that it will have.
The effect that it will have on another person. So it just feels like, no, it's a normal thing to beat or to do this.
Because of how they were brought up.
Yeah.
So we do have emotional abuse, and maybe I would want either one of you to share your understanding of emotional abuse and its effects on the youth.
You'll find that a parent is using words like maybe you are a fool, or you are a dull person, or you can't do anything when you are still young, So you find that when you grow up, you lose your self-esteem. Even the performance at schools, it goes down because why? When you want to do something, it just echoes on your mind to say, no, I'm a fool, so I'm a what? I'm a failure, I can't do anything. So if I'm a dull person, I can't do this, I can't do that, and it brings down our self-esteem. Then as we grow up, we fail to take care of ourselves because we feel we can't do anything on earth, because that's what we've been taught since we were young. So even at an elderly stage, when we grow up, we fail to do something because that's how we feel. To say I can't do anything and become so vulnerable.
One of the ways that a girl child has been affected by this abuse is the fact that, in the beginning, God has given us these parents. But unfortunately, most of our Zambian parents, they do not want to accept the fact that they are also wrong at times. They are the ones who are always right. It's a two-way thing. Even the Bible in Ephesians, Paul's letter to the Ephesians in chapter 6, verse 4, it says that, Father, do not anger your child. Speak to us nicely. Approach us. These are just like Raphael mentioned. Ndwe galu, wembwawe, chabana shani, iwe, wabashani, those words. Then you meet this boy. He's calling you baby, sweetheart, all those very nice words, and you feel that he's the one that loves you more than they do, because they have not shown you that.
Exactly.
And St. Ignatius says that the love is shown more in deeds and not in words. So if they are doing is not according to what this boy is showing me, I obviously feel that he's the one who loves me. That's why you find some girls that have not really felt this closure in their own homes. They jump from one guy to another, going around in search of this thing. But there's no satisfaction in that because you do not get it from where you are supposed to get it. Because if our parents in the house are not giving us this, where else are we going to find it?
All right. Abana balafiro kuikala pamoja wanakulukula ndeliashi. Abana ngana bekata phone, WhatsApp na Facebook. Banakulu nangubekele 1 meter apart from hata pali fole andana bali fe tondolo. Kaidi na ingila pali phone nasula nako. Na ngomu nani ule lungula. kuti walongola life pa phone, Facebook na WhatsApp.
So I would also want us now to look at economic abuse. Your own understanding of what economic abuse is.
In our world today, you find that as a youth at our age, 15, 16, 17, you are being told you are a man. You
need to fight for yourself.
Or mwakula mufunika wazani wachitavasona so okay, you are supposed to do this, but
pressure.
We were born differently. Yes, and because of that, you find that they are not supported. When you come to your parent, you complain to say, no, I don't have this at school, I need this, or I need clothes, I need this. They say, maybe there are other better things to do than providing for that, what you want, you see. And then you'll find that a child, in order to find that man so that they get that what they needed, maybe it's important. That now they start doing something else that they'll feel, okay, maybe I'll get money if I do this or that.
Maybe I would also want, I don't know, Nancy or Elizabeth to share your own view of how you see maybe how mothers interact with their daughters.
Going out in the communities, you would find a child maybe crying by the corner, asking them to say, why are you crying? What has happened to you? They might help open up to me and tell me to say, this is what has happened. Vaso vanchitikira, but niyo pa kwenda uzawa mami. Because in uzawa mami wazani menya. You see? So I think parents, they're not creating that good relationship with their children. In that, mwana ngatachita toipa, olo toipa tamchitikira, makolo yafuni kukubaleta pafupi bana wao kuwauza kuti ichichakuchitikila ufunika wachitenga so, or maybe you have to avoid this thing by you staying home and focusing on your studies. Because nowadays I feel like children are doing their own things. They've taken their children's right on a higher level such that parents also are failing to come in because Zambia inakamba tina ma children's rights. Freedom of expression, freedom of movement, freedom of what. You find that parents are also failing to bring their children closer because they will say, abana mama rights, yawo babizi wafunika kuchita. In that they don't know that they are affecting their children psychologically, physically, and all that. As they grow up, they tend to do their own things. Or if to say today, I think I'm not sleeping at home because I've got that freedom. I'll go and sleep somewhere else without the consent of my parents. And then I get back home freely like nothing happened. Because parents, we as youths also, we've got a problem. Because I would just say, nizazipaya inimkamba kunkalipira. Even the parents are also afraid to say, nikamkalipira palivasova mnachita hivi. I will lose my child. To which parents, they don't want to lose us.
It also goes back to how we were brought up. Just like Mom said, you need to talk to your children. That's why it's very hard nowadays to even tell when a child is being sexually abused munyumba because ayopa, just like you said. They're abusing her ayopa. She can't even come. Some of these parents want to protect the name of the family. You see. But again, from who? We are raising up broken children. Today we are looking at fellow youth. It's the youth who are insulting big politicians today. They have the audacity to insult adults. Where? Who gave you the audacity to insult an elderly person just because they said something that you do not like? You see? It still goes back to where we fail to talk to our parents about certain things and we take it out there. Just like Rafael said, we become bullies. So it's a defense mechanism, to do bad things because that's how you are brought up. That's how you know how to do things.
So ise makolo tinkale my best friend babana batu. Bana batu tisaba yupe maningi. Tienti balete pafupi. Tizibauza kuti apa chikachitika so ni so. Apa chitika so ni so. Apo nshibana batu tibatandizira.
Nikufundisa che isebene bagiti zifundisire bana bali bato kubapunzisa kumonkalira ni so ukambwenda uzadwala matenda uzachita bwanji mokulira pa nyumba ufunika kusensena ukauka wambopyanga wasukatuma mbale wambopikira afana babo ngati kuli bafana pa nyumba
Nowadays, of course, like we mentioned, children nowadays have become, let's say, we can say advanced, where yes, they know all their rights, but then they don't pay attention to their responsibilities also. So now maybe we can start to share. Now, what are these responsibilities that children have now?
Children have a right to be taken seriously, okay? But then also, as a child and as a young adult, you have a responsibility to listen to others. So if your parents are telling you something, you also have a duty to listen to what your parents are saying. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't mean if you have a right to express your opinions, then you go around expressing them anyhow. No. You also have a duty to listen and respect other people's opinions. Children have a right to quality medical care. Mm. But you also have a duty to take care of yourself. You need to live in a clean environment. Just because you have a right to medical care, you expect to live in a dirty environment so that your parents should waste money when you get sick? No. Then children, you have a right to a very good education. That's a right. But you have a responsibility to study. You have a duty to study, to ensure you do what? You pass your exams and you'll be great in future. You also have a duty to respect your teachers. Kuma school, we have heard of unruly children, and when the teacher decides to act, you go and say, no, I have a right to education. But no, you don't go around disrespecting your teachers. It's very wrong. So you have a duty and a responsibility to ensure that respect is accorded to our teachers. You have a right to be proud of your heritage, your culture, but it's also a responsibility to respect other people's religions, respect other people's cultures, respect other people's beliefs and heritage. And it's also a responsibility to take interest to know what this heritage is all about. So children should be aware that even they can be arrested by the police if they break the law. Mm-hmm. So you all have a responsibility. Every right comes with a responsibility. Parents are allowed to discipline their children, but if you've been following, we said it should be done in a manner that will not injure a child. It's either you're going to sit them down and talk to them. If you're going to beat them, although they don't encourage beating, because sometimes people lose their temper and overdo the beating, do it in a moderate way.
How does one go about reporting cases of abuse of children and young adults?
A victim of gender-based violence can walk to the police station, be it a child or an elderly person, and take note of this, and talk to a victim support unit officer. Mm. Okay? I emphasize victim support unit officers because these are the officers who are trained to handle issues of abuse of children, because they are trained in this specific field to handle issues of children. So you can walk to any police station and report a case of child abuse to the police through the victim support unit.
Now, I would also want to do what should the church do to prevent child sexual abuse now?
So the church bafuire basala the people abakuteking ideashi elo lidiashi bafuire balisunga bali mina bafuana lyo. Then number 2, the church kufuira organize workshops to train, to sensitize the children. Even when we organize those workshops, we invite even the relevant authority to come to educate the children. Then even in abakalamba, banamayo bashitata nabo ukubachita educate. Efe bafuire basunga abana, efe bafuire basenda iliashi. Marriages ayengiri mufira chitika kotila limbi muniwishi ayimino mwana. Banina batila yo ndesunge chupo ulesunge chupo mwana leo naika awe tufure twalanda pwilidiashi because namba ile wishaka bweke sharp because banando kutila umwana apatoleli amani alabwerera pona kabiri so akabwerera pona kabiri so tufure twachingira pamunandu wa chupo. That is a very very serious thing. God hate. But the way of yashi tulesungira pamunandu wa chupo pamunandu wa ndalama, no, we need to come out.
Let's say we give a scenario of a child who has been abused by a parent from their home. how does that child go about or is assured that they are safe when they come through to the VSU to come and report this case of abuse? At times you find children tend to fear to say, nawe nikaenda police bazanibweza che bazanipeleka ku nyumba bazanimenya bakanibweza ku nyumba.
The issues of sexual abuse or sexual harassment or whatever you may call it is very sensitive in the sense that perpetrators sometimes are the people that take care of us. Perpetrators are the people that we live with and are breadwinners. So as such, sometimes it's very, very disheartening to see a young child struggling to find a way of breaking the ice. But what we've done at the police is that we have trained our officers in what we call psychosocial counseling. And we work in collaboration with different non-governmental organizations through the Department of Social Welfare, where we ensure that victims of abuse are protected. Let's say, for example, a child has been raped by the father. There's a tendency by family members to try and sweep this matter under the carpet on the pretext that it's a taboo and that it is going to destroy families. Now, the government of the Republic of Zambia, through Parliament in its wisdom, enacted a law in 2011, Amendment Act number 1 of the Anti-Gender-Based Violence Act. This law provides a fund, for your own information. It provides a fund to victims of gender-based violence to ensure that whosoever is abused should not use the aspect of breadwinner as a scapegoat not to have the matter reported to the police. So we have a lot of examples where we have removed victims of gender-based violence to safe homes where the government, through its partners, are taking care of these victims of gender-based violence. This is to try and ensure that those that are accused of abusing the law, should not take advantage of these victims. So, to answer your question, there are a lot of avenues that have been put in place to ensure that this child who today is suffering abuse can be removed from that abusive environment and can be taken to a safer home and can continue going to school without undue influence or interference from those that have been accused of having committed this crime.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Ngulu, now I would want you to share the process that one, or maybe let's say the survivor of this abuse goes through, and how they can go about in this handling of the reported case of sexual abuse.
You see, the police has evolved over the years. Like I've always said, when I'm given an opportunity, like on this fora, but police banachinja when the police reforms started in 1994. The police reforms ensured that ngati mukazi wa mumenya angaende kucha report nkani ku police, without any due influence or without fear, or favor. Angabwere muntu abwera ku polisi kuleta nkani olonga tsanga bwere ku polisi uja mutangase bwanji angatume phone ku polisi kuti no look ine linkala pa house number 24 Bauren opposite na new mopacha but niyo pa kubwera ku polisi chikwa mwache niyo pa polisi sina bajaire ina niyo pa kuti pakaziva amene wanimenya wamuna banga aba kapena banganipishe pa nyumba wala banganifake mvuto. So uja mutangatishe bwanji angatume phone ku polisi. Akatuma phone ku polisi, isaba polisi zatuma officers batu baje baku victim support unit. Bamene baziba bwino kugwira nkani ameneyi. So nkani polisi bazayigirwa mwao bwino maningi kufika ngati muona munga palivuta nonkala pa nyumba kufika kuenda kupezerani nkani ya shelter, so that muchoke muja mu environment ya chani yonkara abused.
How does the BSU go about dealing with this case of abuse? Let's say the child has come through, maybe the young adult has come through and reported the case of abuse. Is it that you follow the perpetrator? How is the process? How is the perpetrator followed? What happens? Are they arrested? And how does everything go from there?
The police do not handle cases arbitrarily. they do what we call a due process. Monvera, they do a due process. Due process means that you have to investigate and find evidence against that person. Tifunika kufufuza kufufuza kuti tipeze evidence kutuja mtu zoona chamene bakamba kuti anachichita zoona. Because you see, the Zambian constitution, which is our grand norm, the supreme law of the land, provides that everybody innocent until proven otherwise. So this is the reason why the police do not take the law in their own hands to say muntu wakamusonta chabe ati uja anigona. Then the police could patenga futi kwa bagwira. No. The police have to take the due process of the law. But Africa kuchita investigate. For example, mwana ngati wa mugwira. But police, one of the steps that they take, and which is in our, which is in the constitution, one of the duties of the police is to save life. So as such, they need to save life because victims of sexual abuse go through a lot of stress, including exposure to dangerous diseases. So what the police will do first and foremost, take that child or a young adult to the hospital, so that that particular person receives treatment before the police get the evidence that they need, to find the other person wanting before the law. So those are some of the processes that the police do.
Okay. So maybe as we are drawing to the close of the program now, I would want to share with us on how, as members of the society, we can continue to prevent GBV and, of course, stop gender-based violence.
Pamene tichita fellowship tachitako spare ka 15 minutes takambapo kuti vane oro tipempera we can pray mu matanzi muchani tentiziyanga nako na ku moyo wabana chifukwa charo manje chafika poipa chifukwa bana bagwiriwa stizi bana chamene babagwirira benangu babasebenzesa kuti bachitire vizimba va chito zinangu zamene stizi bana chamene chichitika. So tikasebenzesa ma fellowships, I think chinga ende ziko lonse, because each and every pastor's fellowship bamakumana mu week, every week. So ngati inkani ibafika na ba Zambia Society for Child Protection maybe bambe kupeza ko time yochita visit ma fellowships aya na kubauza kuti ngati tasebenzera pamozi together we can be better.
Pantawe ino tuina partners bambiri wamene bangatandizire bantu wamene bovutika mu njira yameneyi. So singa nkale vuto kuti muntu abwere ku polisi kuchita report. Polisi inachinja, like I said, ma reforms ya jamu 1994 yanapanga victim support unit, yanapanga community policing unit. I think muona mkomboni mungati muenda kuli baja neighborhood watch baja neighborhood watch wanabato kuchira mu njira ya mene ya police reforms. Kudara police sunga sevenze na police civilian ni kudelera huko. Ni kudelera huko civilian uchite chane ku police, but masiku ano tusevenza na neighborhood. Because tunachita realize kuti you cannot police a community that fears you. Because it's a police sinengangai. Sinengangai. Whatever we do, or in my investigation is moving that over CID, bacha information is siwanga maenda kunganga. Ni bantu bamene bamukomboni abantu mumunzi bamene bamunde batipasa yamene information icha. So to answer your question, bantu bafunika kubwera ku police chomasuka. Ngati nkani ya ku CID in whichever way. Niyo enda kuja oroku babwere kubia ku victim support unit. But victim support unit in their wisdom will try to direct the case to the right unit. Maona te? But ultimately chamena ni kamba nchakuti osa yopa ya polisi inachinja. We have changed. Well, tina pastors in police. We have got police chaplains. The chaplains unit is a unit that has been rolled out in police stations to ensure that we give even spiritual guidance to those that are victims of crime. So such as you move into kuganizira tibwele ku polisi tishe report nkanizi so that titandizike.
I hope our dear listener, both children and adults, have gotten one or two things from our discussion for today. And just like Madam Dorothy has emphasized, every right has a responsibility. So please let us continue to teach our children about their rights, but also remind them about the responsibilities that they have. My name is Muwanga Nwenda. It's good morning and pleasant listening.